Okay, perfect. Hi guys, good evening. Welcome to this session, a very special session. We thought we'll go in for a countdown 5-month prep strategy, and I'll take this opportunity to welcome GP as well. Hi GP.
हेलो एंड वेलकम एवरीवन। आई होप सबकी तैयारी फुल फ्लो में चल रही है।
Absolutely. So, guys, the objective was very simple. Hey, Anmol, hi. The objective was very simple. Abhi, just recently, a few days back, we had a session with our achievers who are in the top B schools and embark session, and a couple of them went ahead and spoke a little bit about DILR and the problems they faced, and a little bit about DILR 1000 and so on and so forth. After that, between GP and me and a lot of others, we started getting a few questions and few queries on ये DILR 1000 है क्या? What is it? How will it help me? What is the preparation strategy? What should I do over the course of the last 150 days? So think of this as a session where we're going to go ahead and go a little deeper into what exactly one should do over the last 150 days. What should be the month by month strategy? When should you be writing topic tests, sectional tests, mocks, and so on and so forth? And then going a little deeper into specifically talking about DILR 1000 in case there is anybody out there who is still looking for a specific structured course. GP, there is a little bit of disturbance at your end.
जस्ट गिव मी अ मिनट।
Yeah, sure. Not a problem. Yeah, so I hope now my voice is fine. I think there was a little bit of disturbance at GP's end. We're just resolving that. So that is basically going to be the premise of what we're going to go ahead and do today. Go a little deeper into DILR, what DILR has been over the last few years, get a little deeper into what the prep strategy should be over the course of the last 5 months, and then talk a little bit about DILR 1000 in case there is anybody specifically looking at that course. And this session has been organized because of the number of questions that GP and I have been inundated with respect to the DILR session. And as always, GP and his dogs are a part of the session as well. So we always have a couple of extra audience members in our sessions.
गौतम कैट सेक्शन में डॉग्स तो आएंगे ही ना।
अच्छा है, कैट डर जाएगा। That's the objective. Okay, so that's basically it, guys. I'll take you through the agenda. What basically we're going to focus on today. We're going to talk about the DILR section in CAT. काफी बार इसके ऊपर बात कर चुके हैं, so we'll probably rush through that. Go a little deeper into the 5-month strategy for DILR. GP and I will talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about what the DILR 1000 course is all about, what the power of it is. Then I'll let GP go ahead a little deeper into the Jugaad methodology. Many of you all might have already gone ahead and attended quite a few sessions on YouTube that GP has been taking with respect to the Jugaad methodology. You all are aware of the fact that, when it comes to the pro mocks, GP's Jugaad solutions will come. And on that note, I know a couple of you all have already messaged stating, sir, mock 1 का नहीं आया, GP कर रहे हैं, he was traveling. So बहुत जल्दी आने वाला है pro mock 1 का. And then finally getting a little deeper into what the DILR 1000 session plan is, how you can and why this could be an ideal course for somebody looking for additional structured prep. So that's basically going to be the agenda. What I'll do is, GP, I'll quickly run through the first part, which is the DILR section in CAT, because we've spoken about that a lot of times. And then, I'll pass it over to you to get deeper into the 5-month strategy per se. Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect. This is basically, the last year CAT, paper pattern. As you all are all aware, nothing new for me to go ahead and add here. We are aware of everything here. We know that it was a 68 question paper. We know that at the end of the day, there were 2 additional questions that came in DILR, which was a surprise to everybody in slot 1. 22 questions the, 5 passages the, 5 sets the. Nothing really new. 3 passages of 4 questions each and 2 passages of 5 questions each. So there was no real surprise other than those 2 additional questions. But even that is not really a surprise. 5 set पहले भी थे, 5 set इधर भी थे. 2 set में एक question additional डाल दिया. That really didn't change a lot of things. So that's basically what the pattern was. If we look at DILR, specifically since COVID, which is why we put it down here, since CAT 2020 to 2024, what the score versus percentile mapping has been. Couple of things which I think will stand out very clearly is the lowest that it's gone down to is 27. The highest that it's gone up to is 38. And both of them have happened over the last 2 years. That categorically pinpoints towards कुछ सेट पैटर्न नहीं है. डोंट गो इन योर माइंड स्टेटिंग कि मेरे को इतना ही चाहिए उतना ही चाहिए. last year it was net correct of 13 questions. Year before that, net correct of 9 questions. 4 questions is humongous. It's a huge shift from needing to look at
It's
just
one set actually.
exactly. From needing to look at 2 sets, almost getting 3 sets completely correct. So ये दिमाग में मत बोल के जाना कि मेरे को इतना ही चाहिए, उतना ही चाहिए. It could shift, but I think one thing is very clear cut, GP. A score of 30 plus means in general 97, 98 percentile तो आएगा. It could be higher,
Yes,
but
in fact,
उतना
I'll go a step forward and say a score of 50% marks means 97 percentile plus. So if you look at any of the years, the lowest number of questions was 20, which means 60 questions, 60 marks, and which 50% will be 30 marks. And the highest number of questions is 24. That was 2020 में
22.
था ना? 22.
Yeah, 24 में,
नहीं,
because it was 76.
24
हाँ,
72 means 36. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
look at any of the papers, if you are scoring between 30 to 36 marks, you are definitely at least 97, maybe 99.5 percentile also. So 50% marks means roughly 37, 97 to 99.5 percentile is what you need to remember. And the second part, I think the most important thing which Gautam said was, Kial, don't assume that what happened last year will happen this year also. Look at the declines from 21 to 22, from 34 to 29, a gap of 2 questions roughly. Similarly, look at 23 to 24, a gap of 4 questions approximately. So what we are saying out here is in every paper, you need to understand what the paper is and then accordingly look at it. If you go with a straight-jacketed mind, for example, CAT 24 में अगर सोच के जाते कि मुझे 2 ही सेट करने हैं, you would have been only about 90 percentile. This was a paper in which all 5 sets were doable. So you had to make sure you keep on doing the sets and not go with the preset. So don't go into the paper with a preset mind. Similarly, look at 21 to 23, 21 to 22, sorry. If in 22, based on CAT 21, you had gone saying, I have to do at least 3 sets, you would have possibly not done even 1 set correctly, because then you would have moved much faster. So you have to do this task of gauging the level of difficulty of the paper, understanding what it is, and then attempt accordingly.
Correct, absolutely spot on. Also, another thing, GP, I think I'm correct. I think the first slot was the easiest last year, even though the surprise was for slot 1. कि भैया 22 questions, the so-called surprise, but it turned out to be the easiest. I
Easiest
remember I
out of
was
the
in
3
that
slots.
slot. Correct. I remember I was in that slot and 4 set तो देखे ही हो रहे थे. मतलब 4 तो I think any person who had prepped decently and was scoring, I would say 94, 95 percentile plus would have surely gotten into 4 sets in slot 1. Whereas in CAT 23, getting into 4 slots itself was a humongous task.
Third set पे ज़्यादा challenge था.
Exactly. Correct. So that is basically something that you guys all need to keep in mind, and which is why we state don't go in with preconceived notions. If you want a benchmark, वो एक benchmark रख लो, like GP said कि 50% of total marks अगर ले आए, we are in a good territory. A 97, 98, 99 उस territory में आ गए. But yeah, that can also keep shifting in terms of वो 97 होगा कि 99.5. So
See,
that's
CAT is
basically
difficult. Yeah, just to add, CAT is difficult not because of the level of difficulty of the question, because of its unpredictability. A particular the level of difficulty of the sections varies a lot from year to year, and there are 3 sections. So that is the unpredictability of the paper is what makes it difficult. Otherwise, the questions per se are not as difficult as many people consider it to be.
Absolutely. So, GP, I'm getting 1 or 2 questions already. Maybe might be a good time to just put in one, because I think वो एक common आने वाला है, and I'll probably throw it at you. Because ये question I think सबका ही आएगा, और इसको end में रखेंगे तो ये बार-बार आते रहेगा, 5, 6, 7 बार आ जाएगा same question.
गौतम, प्रॉब्लम एक और है, बीच में भी कुछ लोग लेट आएंगे, वो फिर से पूछेंगे, but nevertheless let's address this issue. ठीक है? How do we decide which question to select from a given set? Because we choose the wrong set, then consumes a lot of time. Okay, question ASP ने थोड़ा सा confuse कर दिया है. There are 2 parts to this question. The way I would do it: which set to attempt, and within a set, which questions to attempt. Both are important. Once you start attempting a set, there will be certain sets or certain questions you can easily make out कि बहुत काम लगेगा. They are the questions which you have to probably leave. Secondly, when you look at the set carefully, when you are choosing the set, please look at the questions and the choices carefully, because that is what tells you whether the set is doable or not. Supposing all 5 questions have choices called insufficient data, none of these, most probably that's the kind of data set which is likely to be time consuming because it might have cases. All 5 questions have definite answers or they are theta. That means that's a solvable set because you have to put a number into the answer and there and insufficient data, none of these is not there, so that makes it easier. We'll pick up one set as we go along, but what is important is when we do mocks, after every mock, I will be sharing what I call the DILR overview, in which I try to explain which set should be attempted and when, and which one should not be attempted and why. And that is what is important, and that typically takes about 5 to 8 minutes. Now the problem is most of the time students just look at the data set, बोलते अच्छा arrangement है कर लेता हूँ. That is not good enough. Arrangement है, इसमें cases बनेंगे कि नहीं, कितना मुश्किल होगा, how many variables are there, all that have to be looked at. Then you can decide whether it is worth attempting or not. In addition to that, you have to look at the question and the choices as to what is the information you are getting from there. Only if you are able to collate all that information can you say whether it's a doable set or not. Secondly, this exercise will take you at least a minute and a half per set. So if you are not willing to spend those 6 to 8 minutes on 5 sets of data, and you will just decide to do the set based on your gut feel, it is going to be your luck. किस्मत अच्छी होगी तो ठीक मिल जाएगा, नहीं तो फिर अगले साल फिर मिलोगे, which I don't want.
Absolutely spot on. And just a couple of things like GP was pointing out, मैं अगर अपनी personal, if I talk about it, there are 2 things that I always like to look at. Number 1, if I see a maxima minima set and I see theta questions, I generally like to avoid. Reason being, even after you get to an answer ना, you don't know उससे ज़्यादा हो सकता है या कम हो सकता है कि नहीं. Whereas if it's an MCQ question, you get to an answer, you know what the other options are. If the other 3 options are lower than the answer you already gotten, you know वो सही होना ही होगा. So that's a example of a kind of question. So it might be from an area of strength, but 3 questions are maxima minima with theta. I might not necessarily want to get into that set right at the beginning. I might look at that set slightly later on. That's an example of certain parameters to look at when you go ahead and look at sets. Secondly, like GP was pointing out, even when it comes to arrangements, you need to know कि अगर एक 3 पैरामीटर अरेंजमेंट है वर्सेस एक 5 पैरामीटर अरेंजमेंट है, दोनों को अप्रोच करने की मेथोडोलॉजी भी अलग है. The way you go ahead and create a table भी अलग है. If you are always thinking that an arrangement set when it comes, एक पैरामीटर को हम फिक्स कर लेंगे एंड बाकी पैरामीटर को उससे मैप करेंगे, it might not always work in that way. Hence, there are certain things that you need to go ahead and practice daily for you to be able to feel confident enough to be, that I'll be able to judge which set to pick up as well. Hence, judgment will not happen without practice. And it's not just about practicing 4 or 5 sets and solving, but also practicing this thing of choosing sets when you're solving. So like GP said, don't just do that in mocks. You might also want to do it, say, if you are enrolled in a classroom program or an online class program. Every time you attend a session, there are 4 or 5 sets. Try doing that for yourself when you're solving it before attending the session. Every time you do a topic test, every time you do a sectional test, try doing this day in and day out. Once you do that, then it becomes a part of your muscle memory. Once it becomes a part of your muscle memory, you will feel a little bit more at ease when you go ahead and approach it. Okay. So, what we've done is we've looked at the CAT papers over the last 7-8 years, and we've kind of bifurcated it into the different topics. And and when I'm saying topics, these are the kind of topics or genres that we've looked at in DILR 1000. So we've kind of gone ahead and broken it up basis that. So if you have a look at some of reasoning based DI, matrix and grid, matrix arrangement, Venn diagrams, scheduling and matrix, unconventional and hybrid games and tournaments, mathematical, analytical reasoning, order and ranking, missing data. So you can see a lot of such, for example, DI based on stats. अब ये DI based on stats देखोगे ना, there was one particular year, I don't know which one, GP, I think at 23, if I'm not wrong, where each slot had one set on mean median mode.
23.
23, right? So in total, there have been 4 sets that have come over the last 7-8 years. 3 of them came in 1 year itself. So please don't read into this data and think, अच्छा, मेरे को तो खाली ये करने हैं because these are the only important ones. No.
And yeah, Gautam, if you look at 17 to 24, 20 to 24, there were, these are 5 years, 3 slots, so 15 slots here. 17, 18, 19, 2 slots each. So that is 6 slots. So 20, कितना हो गया?
21 slots.
How many? 21 slots.
21. Yeah.
In 21 papers, only 12 papers have a reasoning based GI set. So what you need to be clear is कि यार ये हो सकता है और जो भी चीज आई है वो एटलीस्ट 2 slots में आई है या 3 slots में एक साथ आई है. Because the papers across the slots are very similar. So what this will also tell you यार कि CAT का ना कोई specific pattern नहीं है DILR का. Which is what also creates problem. So what is what Gautam was saying, यार ये ज्यादा important है इसको कर लूं, हो सकता है अगले वाले में ये आए ना, but करना फिर भी है. So you do all of these things, but you don't stick to saying that this is important, this is what I will do.
Absolutely. Having said that, you also need to keep in mind that when you are preparing for DILR, there has to be a structure in place. For example, if you do not know how to create a table, if you do not know how to input data in a table and do basic mathematical calculation, you will not be able to ever go ahead and convert text to table, which means LR questions, when 90% of them you have to convert text to table or some pictorial representation, you will not be able to handle. So building blocks always have to be there. And if you realize, I always state this in CAT, building blocks पे generally over the years focus ज़्यादा रहेगा. Numbers में maximum number of questions come from properties of numbers. Least number of questions will come from base system or factorials. In the same way, in CAT also, if you look here, the representation is higher in arrangement, in DI, in Venn diagram. But keep in mind, these are building blocks. You will get a lot of sets wherein it will be a mixture of वेन डायग्राम भी ले लिया एंड मैक्सिमा मिनिमा भी डाल दिया, वेन डायग्राम भी ले लिया एंड कुछ और भी डाल दिया, कोई और कॉन्सेप्ट भी डाल दिया, से मीन मीडियन मोड का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट डाल दिया वेन डायग्राम के थ्रू. सो प्लीज कीप इन माइंड, these days CAT is doing this more and more, wherein it is combining 2 or 3 specific topics and creating a new LR set. So it is interesting, it is fun to solve, but in that pressure cooker situation of 40 minutes where you just solved 4-5 RCs और उसमें भी 2 पल्ले नहीं पड़े, you are unable to go ahead and enjoy it, which you would have otherwise अगर आप बैठ के खाली प्रेप मार रहे होते. So please keep that in mind. Building block अभी भी आपको करना पड़ेगा. You will need to start from the basics, and you can't just, it's not like swimming के आप बोलोगे deep end of the pool में फेंक दिया, मैं first day जाके games and tournaments का hybrid कुछ solve करूंगा, नहीं होगा. Building blocks आपको करने होंगे, step by step आपको जाना होगा. So please keep that part in mind.
I will add to this and say, if you look at these data sets from 17 to 24, these would be roughly 100 data sets. You have to do all these 100 so that you have at least clarity of what are the kind of data sets which can come. And यहाँ पे ना, I'll just add take 1 more minute इसमें. इसमें there was again a question जो हमने बात की थी, उसको अभी ले लेता हूँ. I'm able to, Devdat says, if I'm able to solve 2 out of 4 questions in the set very fast, remaining to become complicated to crack, how much time should we still invest in that particular questions? Devdat 0. जब दिखता है कि मेरी औकात के बाहर है या बहुत टाइम लगेगा, it is going to be complicated and hence I may or may not be able to solve it. Why do I want to even spend my time on it? I'll go look at the other sets, finish my entire other sets, and after that, if I have time, तब मैं इसके बारे में सोचूंगा. ठीक है? So let us not get bogged down with कि मेरे को सेट पूरा करना है. 2 हो गए ना, बहुत अच्छा है. बाकी नहीं होने की औकात है. Move to the next one. And just to add to what we were discussing, Arbaz's observation is fairly correct that when a set comes from a specific topic, it is tougher compared to miscellaneous set. Very good observation, Arbaz, जो भी है, ठीक है? Very good observation, because what happens is when it is from a specific topic, it is a known topic. You have already gone above the base level, so now you'll get so unlikely you'll get an easy set from Venn diagram. It will have some amount of complication. But the miscellaneous topic is something new, so the novelty of the set on its own increases the level of difficulty. So you are absolutely right. If you are willing to go deeper into the set, you will probably realize that most of the miscellaneous sets or any sets which have not come earlier, which are of a new kind, are usually easier. Okay? And that's a standard rule for me. Such sets I will definitely attempt in the paper, not as the first or the second set, but these are typically my third sets to attempt in the paper.
Absolutely, and this has happened multiple times. I remember the first time that grid-based set came. where they had given a grid and they had said 3x3 grid mein, neighboring cells can't have the same number. And then
Yes.
the next question was 5x5 grid mein same cheez karni hai. So,
हाँ.
that was a unique set. First time it came, you're thinking, kaise karna hai? Sare questions bhi tita hai. But when you sit down to solve it, you will realize that entire set will take 4-5 minutes. If I'm not wrong, वो CAT 2017 या 2018 का कुछ एक था, but that was a very interesting set.
बहुत अच्छा set था. And
Very
the
good.
best thing was, if you look at that set, first question was on 3x3 grid. So you should just make the complete 3x3 grid. You'll get the logic of filling. Then 5x5 grid, just simply using the same logic to take it forward. And out of those 4 questions in the set, 2 questions could be done logically without solving anything.
Absolutely. I think it was something like this, that neighboring जो होगा, जो immediate neighbor है cell, it can't have the same number. So if this is 1,
that's right.
This has to be 2, then this again could be 1, this had to be 3, 4, then 1, 2, so this could be 3, 3, 4, 2, or you could say this is 1, this is 2, and this is 1. So it was something like this, the minimum number of numbers you need to fill this. And then like GP pointed out, इसी को second question was इसी को 5x5 कर दिया. And I still remember the way GP had solved it, because I hadn't done it that way initially. Was he was like, इस 3x3 को पहले extend कर देते 4x4 पे, and then उसको extend कर देते 5x5 पे. And like GP was saying, one of the questions was, what if this rule is defeated in one of the cells? मतलब कोई भी एक cell लो, वहां पे वो rule follow नहीं हो रहा, तो समझो ये 1-1 की जगह ये 2-2 हो गया, तो मिनिमम कितने नंबर चाहिए होंगे? And you knew the answer would be the same. So some of you all might be feeling ये लोग क्या बोल रहे हैं, but go ahead and have a look at it. I think it was the CAT 2017 paper, if I'm not wrong. But this is the example of a kind of question that comes for the very first time. And if you're willing to give 2 to 3 minutes to it, you will suddenly realize, अरे ये तो 5-7 मिनट में हो जाएगा. Vis-a-vis, getting, like GP said, or Arabaz had said, कि एक सेट आएगा जो एक ही टॉपिक पे है, पर वो इतना डीप चले जाता है that there are multiple things that you need to go ahead and do. So yeah.
Bottom screen पे वो गलत लिख दिया है, that bottom left hand cell has to be 1. Or bottom row has to be 1 to 1.
It was already 1, GP. I had said one of the questions had come where they had stated कि one of the cells का value can change. तो फिर कितना चाहिए होगा? So उसमें तब क्या हो गया था? ये 2 to 1 हो गया था. And even then the answer would be 4. That's what I was saying. Perfect. Okay, moving ahead. So, this is something, and, we've tried to encapsulate a lot of what we want to state in just one simple slide. आज का ज़माना है कि AI को use करना चाहिए, तो हम लोग भी अपनी understanding को use करके सबको संक्षिप्त में एक slide में लाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि what should be a 5-month strategy. The way I would look at it is, back calculate karo. The exam is expected to be on 30th of November. I am assuming over the last 5-7 days you won't be doing a lot, maybe one mock. So you're basically, for all practical purposes, talking about 25th November tak ka time hai. Today I'm sitting on the 19th, say 20th of June. So you're looking at 20th of June to roughly about 25th of November. Uske basis mein, what is it that we should do? June, July, GP, I'll probably, over to you.
Yeah, start.
This probably come in.
Sure. First thing is always you need to understand. The best thing about DILR is that no one has studied DILR in school or college. That's the best thing about it, because everyone is starting from zero, which means anyone who will put in a little extra effort will zoom ahead of others. And because most people, what they do is they go for what is familiar. English पढ़ी हुई familiar है, maths की हुई familiar है, and the unfamiliar gets left behind. So you should not be one of those people जो DILR को पीछे छोड़ दिया है क्योंकि familiarity नहीं है. Become familiar, get to know this section. You will suddenly find this becomes a strong area. Okay? And which obviously means, to become familiar, you need to practice a lot. If there's one section in CAT which you have to do every day, it is DILR, and which is why I would say between 3 to 5 sets of DILR have to be done every day. Every day, if you are taking a mock, it will have about 4 to 5 sets of data. उस दिन मत करो कुछ नया. But on any day when you are not taking a section test or a mock test of DILR, then you should do at least 3 to 5. To begin with, you should start with 3 sets of data. 3 sets of data every day. Why 3 and why not 5 to begin with? Because now initially you have to understand the concepts. You have to understand what is the basic structure. how the table have to be made, what are the basic tricks which are there, what are the things to be careful about. So all that learning will happen in the initial stages, and every set is likely to take you more time than at the later stage. Which is why, to begin with, go pick up your DILR funda book, go through the basics, and start doing sets on a daily basis. Which sets to do? We provide you every day with a daily dose. That is one set. You can look at your books. In addition to that, we have lots of stuff available for you in OpenCat, in your MyZone, and you have the old CAT papers. Pick up one area and just finish it off. For example, you could say, I'll do all these sets of CAT to begin with. That could be one strategy, though I would not approve of it strongly. But अगर कोई करना चाहता है, कोई problem कोई बात नहीं. Those 100 sets of data will take care of your 25 to 30 days, maybe about 5 weeks on the outside. Finish that off. But what that does is, at least you become comfortable with all those. Now it is entirely your choice. Some students will, what they'll do is, I'll first do only arrangement, then I'll do only Venn diagram, then I'll do only XYZ. To me, that's not a good idea. In CAT, you have to, and when you will be taking your mocks also, it is not that all 5 sets or all 4 sets will be arrangement. No, there will be a various areas and you should be able to handle all of them. So my suggestion always is, don't make yourself rigid with respect to a topic. You say, every day I have to pick 3 sets. What random sets come my way, I'll do them and keep working on it. So you do the set. If you're able to solve it, great. If you're not able to solve it, no issues at all. Look at the solution. Don't worry about the amount of time it takes for you to solve. Just look at the solution. Understand, many sets have a video solution and Jugaad solution. Have a look at them also. Even if you have got the set right, even then you have to look at the video and the Jugaad solution, for the simple reason you might find the video or the Jugaad solution to be giving you something which is different from the way you solved it. You might find a different way of doing it, a faster way of doing it. You may have missed out something, some critical thing which could have saved time. All that will be available to you in the video and in the video solution and the Jugaad solution. So that's a basic thing, that the foundation has to be strengthened by practicing with different kind of data sets.
Absolutely. Just one thing, GP, if I were to add here, while practicing with different kinds of data sets is important, it is also important right upfront to first know what are the different so-called genres or topics.
Sure.
कई बार ये होता है that students don't even know कि okay, Venn diagram होता है 2 parameter, 3 parameter, 4 and more. Arrangements होता है 2 parameter, 3 parameter, 4 and more. Has to be approached in a different way. Circular arrangement, different way. Sitting inside, facing inside, facing outside, different way. Matrix and grid, different. Select scheduling and scheduling sets, different. So it also becomes important, and I think right upfront at the beginning, in case you haven't already done that, at least spend the first couple of weeks to first understand what all the genres are. Then mix and match and do. But at least first understand. नहीं तो क्या है, first time you go ahead, you're mixing, match and doing, and suddenly scheduling आ गया, दिमाग बोलेगा scheduling को approach कैसे करना है. 9:30 p.m., 10:30 p.m., 11:30 p.m. करूं क्या? How do I express it? How do I approach it? So my one recommendation to that is, if you can go ahead and spend at least the first couple of weeks to sit down and look at the different genres, different types of sets or different topics, if you want to go ahead and call it. So it might be good to sit down and do it, so that at least you also know, how do I go ahead and identify topics, and once I know कि identify हो गया, how do I approach them. Obviously eventually जो आएगा वो mix match होगा and stuff like that, but at least this will give you a little bit of confidence going in. Yeah. Okay, moving to August. Yeah, GP.
Yeah. So again, if you look at it, it's the same thing. Now, once you have the basics in place, you can again start saying, okay, I'll do specific kind of data sets on a daily basis. Okay? And here you can obviously increase the number of sets which you do on a day-to-day basis. Okay? So the previous was, we are saying maybe about 3 sets of data every day. Now you can probably go for 4 sets of data. The reason obviously is that now you will have a better grasp of the basic concepts. You know how the tables have to be made. You will understand how different kind of data sets have to be approached. And hence you will hopefully be able to save time. So in the same amount of time, hopefully you will be able to do 1 extra set of data. But again, please understand, we are saying 4 sets daily. So on a monthly basis, if I assume 25 days, you will do it, because other days you will take a mock or something else. We are still talking about 100 sets to be done in the month of August.
Absolutely. Yeah. Similar into September. Yeah, GP.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying that the same thing continues. Okay, the same thing continues, and as you go closer to the exam, the randomness of the topic and the mixing up has to increase. Okay? While as I said, some of you may want to do it right from the beginning, and I belong to that school of thought. But some of us don't want to do that. We want to go in a structured manner. That's perfectly fine. But when you coming in September, you should not be worrying about a topic or what genre or what kind of data set it is. Every day, whenever I'm looking at, and secondly, it might be a good idea in the month of September, especially if not in August, that instead of choosing one set at a time, say I look at these four sets together. And within those four sets, try to identify which are the sets you should be attempting and which are the ones you should not be. For example, if you look at a CAT 17 paper, CAT 17 paper had 8 sets of data to be attempted in 60 minutes. But now the paper which is coming, it is giving you 4 to 5 sets of data to be done in 40 minutes. So what do? Break the paper into two parts. First 4 sets is one paper for you, next 4 sets should be done tomorrow. So today you will pick CAT 17 slot 1, the first 4 sets to be done in 40 minutes. That's what you tell yourself. Okay. Within those 4 sets, try to identify which is the easiest set, which one should you be doing first, which is the set which is difficult and you should be keeping for the end. And when you are attempting those 4 sets, again, you getting stuck with a question, take a call whether I should do it now or leave it. So treat in the month of September, every practice has to be treated like a sectional test so that you are able to improve the ability to choose the right sets of data.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and October, November is going to be essentially mocks and section tests. And every mock and every section test, the process is the same. Spend the first 5 to 8 minutes trying to identify which is the easiest set for you, which is the most difficult set for you. The easy one definitely to be attempted, difficult one to be looked at later. Secondly, when you are doing the paper, don't go with a preset condition that I have to attempt only so many days, so many sets. The level of difficulty varies, and I should be able to modify my way of doing the paper based on that. Okay. Thirdly, every time you are doing the set, again, as I said a little while ago, there's the time when you have to say, I will definitely look at attempting only those questions which I can. Questions which take time, confusing, difficult to handle, I'll leave and come back to them in the end if I have time.
Absolutely. And just following up, GP, what you were talking about, just so that we help students understand if we quantify this, what we are talking about. So like GP said, if say you're writing, you're doing this 25 days in a month, in June, July, you're basically doing say about 75 sets every month. In August, we are talking about roughly 100 in a month. In September, again 100 in a month. In October, we are talking about roughly 125. And say November में मैं assume करूँ 15 days के आसपास होगा because और ज़्यादा mocks लिखोगे 75. So if you're adding all of this, you're talking about somewhere in the vicinity of almost close to about 500 to 550 sets, and then mocks on top of that. Now I'm guessing अगर back calculate करने लगे, in November you might be probably taking about 6-7 mocks, in October 6-7, in September about 6-7, in August you might take 4, in July you might take 4, and in June you might take another 2. So that's 6-6-6-4-4. We are talking about vicinity of 26 and to 28 mocks. Every mock in itself is going to be about 4 to 5 sets. Let's assume about 5 on an average. So you're talking about another 140 sets there. So in total, we are stating that you should for sure be looking at, if not more, at least somewhere in the vicinity of about 650-700 sets. Now, where will all of that come from? Like we had spoken about earlier, you have daily dose, you have funda books, you've got OpenCat, you've got topic tests, you've got sectionals, you've got mocks, you've got PYQs. You've got a lot of sources to do it. Generally, GP होता क्या है ना, and I've seen this multiple times, students start hoarding. इतने होने के बावजूद they will state और कहां से और कितने sets आ जाएंगे और कितना I can go ahead and get. I think this is going to be more than enough if you go ahead and look at all the resources that we've spoken about. If you utilize them, I think that is going to be more than enough if you are able to utilize that properly. Because अगर ये सारे resources से नहीं होगा और 5 resources से भी ले लोगे तो भी नहीं होने वाला. वो बस confusion बढ़ाएगा, वो simplify नहीं करेगा कुछ.
बिल्कुल. इसमें खाली एक चीज मैं बोलूंगा, some of you, if you are working and you do not get sufficient time to do as much as this because you have to do quant and English also, then there are 2 ways to handle it. Don't do DILR, quant and English every day. Do everything on the 2-day basis. So today you will do DILR and let's say DILR and quant. Tomorrow you will do quant and English. Day after tomorrow you do DILR and English. So that is one way to handle it. Another way to handle, if you have a time crunch, instead of 3, 4, 5, you could follow the sequence of 2, 3, 4. But don't go below 2. 2 is on the lower side. I would ideally say instead of 3, 2, 3, 4, if you can possible, do 3, 3, 4 or 3, 4, 4 and so on and so forth. To me, that is where you have to handle, because ultimately you have to make sure you are, if you are working, you have less time available. Assuming you have less time available, if you are working, तो जरूरी नहीं है कि कम time होगा तुम्हारे पास. But if you have a time crunch, then maybe you can just reduce the load a little. But don't compromise on the mocks. Don't compromise on the previous year questions. Extremely important, both of them.
Just one more thing, GP, if I were to add is practice as much as possible from online resources. Because there is a huge difference between reading on a screen, then capturing that and creating a diagram there, pictographic representation, making a table. Imagine incomplete table ek bana hua hai, missing data. When you're doing it in an offline format, in a book, wo table bani hui hai, usme fill karne lagte ho. Whereas in CAT, you will need to make that table again. And you will have only one pen to do it. और कई बार क्या होगा, आपने कुछ मिस्टेक कर दिया, अब याद नहीं कौन से 4 सही थे, कौन से 2 गलत हो गए. So even techniques there, when you're solving missing data sets, looking at an online material, creating a table and doing it, there are certain techniques around that. So my suggestion, while use the Funda book, and a couple of you all have asked that as well, yes, use it, but think of it as an online resource. Don't scribble there. हर टेबल बनाओ, कॉपी करो, अंडरलाइन मत करने लगना, नहीं होने वाला कैट में. So there are 2-3 things please keep in mind. वो हम लोग ले लेते हैं और फिर मॉक आता है, सडनली बोलते हैं कर नहीं पाए, मेरे को ये पॉइंट दिखा नहीं, वो पॉइंट दिखा नहीं, it was there in a paragraph, I don't know how to do it. That is because sometimes we ignore these small things. So don't do those small things.
And one last thing, Gautam, बातों में ये भी बात कर ही लेते हैं. In CAT, you will not get the paper you get is a A5 sheet, which means your normal A4 sheet, if you fold it into half, this is what you have. You have a pad which will be this side. And hence, so my suggestion, we take 4-5 A4 sheets, fold them, tear them, and make a pad out of it. And then so you have to make a table in this sheet. You will not have this available to you. So get into the habit of making all your notations. So even if you are doing a set on the book, as Gautam said, make all your notings here, all the data which you need to tabulate, put it here, make the table or whatever on the sheet itself, so that you get used to working on the get used to working in a way that you have to work in the actual exam.
Absolutely. Perfect. Okay. So I think there are a few questions that have come in. GP, there is a lot of requests for the Jugaad solutions, I think, for Pro Mock 1. I think a couple of them have come in.
Yeah, I missed it. I was traveling. So मैं इस week में करता हूँ.
Yeah. So वो एक है. एक daily dose वाला हर साल आता है, हर दिन आता है. That another question is there. Can daily dose test not be locked? यार objective है.
Yeah, देखो daily dose objective we have to force you to do it. We don't want you to hold the set. What is daily? And please look at it. Daily dose तीनों भी हैं, तो it is asking to spend only 45 minutes. It forces you to see. Please understand the basic difference between JEE kind of paper and CAT is that JEE is knowledge intensive and CAT is practice intensive. So the concepts are few. They are low level concepts, but they have to be practiced regularly. So daily dose का purpose ही वो है कि भैया तुम्हारी practice करानी है. तो उसको lock होगा. You need to make sure you get time. In fact, एक और चीज देखो. Daily dose में we are giving you how much time for to do one set of data, for example. I think it's 20 minutes. Okay, that is excessive. Actually, you have to solve the set in the paper in about 8 to 10 minutes. So even if you give yourself 12 minutes, that should be more than enough. So when you say all three daily doses, you need to actually be giving yourself about 10 to 12 minutes per daily dose. So it is actually not more than 45 minutes on the outside.
Yeah. Perfect. So we'll pick up more questions. Let's quickly get into this. I saw one of the questions stating, do we have Jugaad solutions for CAT 2024? Yes, we do. In fact, that's a part of DILR 1000 and it's a part of your My Zone. So you'll be able to see that. Okay.
24 के अभी बने नहीं होंगे. We will be covering that, लेकिन उसके अंदर ना we would have done it.
RT99 we've done it. We've done it in RT99.
RT99 में किया होगा. Slot 1 we would have done in RT99. Slot 2 will be done in RT99, the online one, which will happen in end July, beginning August. And slot 3 we'll do afterwards in the offline mode.
In the offline mode, yeah. Till CAT 23, I think we are done, right? If I'm not wrong, GP.
Yeah. Till 23, all of them would be available.
Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, basically, Sankshipt mein agar ek takeaway, if there is one word that you need to keep in mind, it's practice. Practice as much as possible and practice relevant and practice के साथ analysis. ये नहीं बस बार बार set करते रहना और उसको analyze नहीं करना, उससे सीखना नहीं है. Learn as much as possible from it. Keeping all of this in mind, that brings us to the next one, which is unlocking the power of DILR1000. Keeping all of what we've stated in mind, between GP and me, we've tried to go ahead and curate a very, very specific course, which is DILR1000. Objective is it's a one-stop solution for DILR, comprehensive course, crafted by top mentors, structured phase-wise approach. So like I was talking and GP was talking, what we've done is we've divided the entire course into about 5 phases, where in phase 1 you go ahead and you introduce the basics of every topic so that everybody understands core sessions kya hote hai, core concepts kya hote hai. Phase 2 onwards, you build up on each of those core concepts and go deeper. The moment phase 1 ends, now you can get into your practice mode where you can randomly start practicing because the core concepts are done. Build phase, you build up on those core concepts, get a little deeper. Scale phase, where you get even deeper and you start mix matching with multiple different types of topics coming together and so on and so forth. That's the structure behind DILR1000. Everything that we've been talking about between GP and me over the last half an hour, 40 minutes, putting it down into a course and going ahead and ensuring that it becomes something which is useful for each of you. Objective behind it is two to threefold. Number one, obviously for anybody who at this point in time is struggling with respect to DILR, set identification नहीं हो रहा, topic identification नहीं हो रहा, set देख के समझ नहीं आ रहा ये कौन से area से approach करना है कि नहीं, देख के समझ नहीं आ रहा, is this question से additional data नहीं ले पा रहे, unable to look at the question or the data and understand whether this sort of a set I should pick up or not pick up. Those who are already in the vicinity of an 85-90 percentile looking for a Philip, how to get to a 99, 99.5 plus and so on and so forth. And finally, those who are still feeling that, hai, I am, I have gone ahead and I'm looking at self-study. I'm looking at multiple resources all over the internet, but I do need a little bit of guidance, something that is going to help me understand what are the different kinds of sets, how to look at it, what are the different resources to focus on, what is the ideal way of solving it. I've looked at the same set in 5 different resources, 5 different solutions, 4 different solutions hai. Which was the ideal way, how to think like that, how to start thinking in this particular way that GP is thinking, and so on and so forth. So the objective is to go ahead and cater to the needs at this point in time. It's not about हर बंदे को ये लेना चाहिए, एकदम नहीं. If your basics are fine, if you're already doing decently in DILR, you're already cracking a 93, 94, 95, you have 6 months to go, going at your pace, practicing enough, looking at all the material that is there with you, daily dose, open cat, mock, sectional, topic test, funda books, it might suffice. But in case you are one of those who even at this point in time with just about 5 months to go to cat are still struggling a little, still don't understand how to actually do it, and you need ek sathi, think of this course as the sathi. GP, something you'd want to add?
Yeah, I think you have covered everything, but the basic thing being that the purpose of the course, as you said, is to help you not only learn the basics, and hence you'll find some of the sets start from a low level and then go up as we have higher level of difficulty data sets, but also be able to look at the sets and say, okay, how do we solve these questions faster? Which are the questions we should be doing? We have even covered as to how you should be calculating. Which are the questions where you can approximate? Which are the questions you should not approximate and blindly take the calculator? So all those minor things which we do on a regular basis, which is in a way part and parcel of the way we work, is what we have tried to include in this paper, in this program, Sony.
Absolutely. Okay, why choose? I don't want to get too deep into it. Obviously proven results, mentorship, cat practice, and Jugaad solutions. I think this is where I want to go ahead and concentrate, because this is something unique that I think GP brings onto the table. A couple of you all also pointed out that this is something unique, your USP when it comes to your mocks as well. And that is something that we've tried to build into DILR 1000 as well. A couple of you all might be thinking, what exactly is this Jugaad solution? And I'll leave it to GP. CAT 2023 slot 3 ka paper, one particular set, GP, in case you want to give a brief about this, and then I can show a very short clip of you explaining something related to it.
Yeah, I what I'll do is I'll just quickly have a go through the data which is given. Okay, or let me try to just so what is it saying? The data set. So the problem is most of people will look at what is on the left and what is on the right. Those questions 1 to 6 will be ignored by the students. But if you look at those questions 1 to 6, they will help you get extra information. So what is Jugaad? Jugaad is not a shortcut technique. Jugaad is basically saying, please look at all available information, whether it is from the data or the questions, and focus on answering the questions rather than filling up the table. These are the two basic rules which Jugaad says. Says all information to be considered, whether it is from questions or the choices or from the data, and focus on answering the questions. Now, when you look at this data set on the left, it is giving us some grid. So it says a farmer has rectangular land containing 205 trees, distributed that land among his 4 daughters A, B, C, D by dividing the land into 12 plots along 3 rows X, Y, Z and column 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you have read this much, you know what this data set is all about. It has got 12 cells, X1, X2, X3, X4, Y1 to Y4, Z1 to Z4. We need to find out in which cell, how many trees are there. Secondly, who's got that cell. That some of these cells have A, B, C written, that is very clearly A, Abha, Beena, Chitra. Similarly, there's some numbers given, that should be the number of trees in each plot. Now, this is further explained when you look at the lines below this table. The plots in row XYZ contain mango, peak, etc., etc. So by reading this much, you know, okay, what this is. So my job, the beauty of practicing regularly is, excuse me, the beauty of practicing regularly is that by reading half the data, you are able to understand that what this is all about. Now let me come to the Jugaad part. The normal way of solving the data set would be, okay, now that we have understood, let me go to those statements 1 to 9 at the bottom and try to fill up the table based on that. But if you look at the questions, question number 1, how many mango trees were there in total? Okay. Now, this is a question which might be helpful to us. Why? Because there are numbers. And I may be able to eliminate choices. For example, if I say the number of trees is approximately 100, 98 is the answer. If I am able to say by some logic the number of trees of mango trees have to be greater than 100, only 126 is the answer. So this might be useful for me. It may or may not be, I'm not sure. But look at question number 2. Which of the following is the correct sequence of trees received by A, B, C, D in that order? This question will definitely be useful for me. Look at the number of trees for Abha, 50, for 60, 44 or 54. All the 4 choices have different numbers. That means if I get even one of them right, I will be able to get the correct answer. Similarly, look at for Beena, 69, 87, 39, 57. Similarly for C and D. So if I am able to find the number of trees received by even one of these 4, I will get the right answer. Question number 3, how many pine trees did Chitra receive? This again is similar to question number 1. This is again definite answer. And it is a question which might be useful for me. But once you read the data sets, when you read the information, you will find something about Chitra. Let me just go through the statements. I've done this question some time ago. Abha got 20. Yes. Statement 1. Abha got 20 trees more than Chitra, but 6 trees less than Deepti. Okay. So how many trees did Chitra receive? Look at question number 3 first. If Chitra received 15 trees, how many pine trees? Sorry. No, sorry, this is not pine trees. Okay. 32. Okay. Only Beena, Chitra, Deepta. Okay. Okay. This was a little more involved. I had to use one more thing out there. But in the end, when I solved this data set, I used question number 2 and 3 together to solve it. Based on that, I was able to solve the set much more faster. Okay. Now this set I have
there's a
solved
short clip.
in the Jugaad sessions. Sorry, Gautam.
I think there's a short clip, GP, which probably explains it a little. Just a 30-second clip.
Okay.
I'll just play it. I'll just play the video.
Yeah. Gautam is not playing मेरे end पे तो. The audio is not coming out, Gautam.
Is it not coming?
No.
Is the audio not coming? Okay. So I thought it would be coming. Apologies for that. Basically, if I were to just transcribe what GP is stating, he used question 3. Basis question 3, when he was solving it, he found out कि 18 answer है, and उसके basis में the possibilities, for the total number of trees of Chitra was going to be 27, 33, 42, or 30. And then he looked at question 2 and he saw that out of 27, 33, 42, and 30, only one was possible, which was option A, because 30 उसमें था. And from there, he went ahead and got all the answers. So that's basically a snapshot of GP what he was stating. Apologies that the video
my session would be that I think I've done about 7-8 sets so far. DILR solution the open cat में मिल जाएगा पूरा. Please go there and then go. Okay, great. It is there. Now, if you look at the corner, there are 2 action items there. One is a PDF, one is a video. Your job is first download the PDF, try solving the data set yourself. If you're able to solve, great. If you're not able to solve, no issues at all. Whether you have solved or not, please look at the video. In the video, you'll find the Jugaad solution. So don't go to Jugaad solution first solve it yourself. Able to do it, look at the solution. Not able to do it, look at the solution. Because your job is to be able to create those Jugaad solutions for yourself. So I've already done 8 sessions, 8 sets it seems. Yeah, 1 to 8 hai, so 8 ho gaye hain. You can scan on this QR code, go to the OpenCat and start doing it. Do at least one set every day, and at least you will get the idea of what to look in a data set. When you are reading a data set, what are the things you should be looking out for? And all of these are only CAT sets. And next Thursday onwards, I'll restart this thing. This Thursday we are doing this session, but next Thursday onwards. So my guess is in the next 4 months, I will do another 50 odd sets, and which will also tell you that CAT के sets में ये काम करता है, and about 1/4 or 1/3 in every paper, 1 to 2 sets of data you should be able to solve with the help of these principles which are given in these Jugaad solutions.
Absolutely. And like GP pointed out, another 15 odd sets, 8 already done. That's about 20-25 sets that he'll be able to go ahead and do. But all sets from 2017 to 2023 are a part of the DILR 1000 program already. They are already mapped to it. So in case you're looking at that and thinking, usme mere ko additional kya milega? All the remaining, like we calculated, there were 100 odd sets. So the remaining 70-80 sets would also be a part of the DILR 1000 program. Just to give you all a brief idea about what the session plan for DILR 1000 is, we've divided it into phases. The first phase was the launch phase, which was divided into 2 parts, part 1 and 2. Both of these are live. As you can see, release date, both of them are live. Here, we've gotten into the absolute basics, what the DILR section is, what are some of the essentials to have. Just to give you context, essentials may even certain things like terminologies. If A does something, if A is in team X, then B is in team Y. How do you interpret this statement? Does it mean that if A is not in team X, then what will happen to B? All possible such cases. So, picking up important sentences grammatically and what they would imply when you're looking at it from a DILR perspective is an important thing. A lies between B and C. What does it mean? Does it mean A is directly between B and C? Could there be more people between B and C? So on and so forth. So, the absolute basics and essentials that you need in DI and LR. Then talking about linear arrangement, which is basically absolute basic concepts. Tables like we were talking about. GP, I'm able to hear my own voice.
I don't know.
I think it's fine now. Yeah, perfect. Then, launch phase part 2, where you get deeper into arrangement, games and tournaments, intro to blood relation, bar charts and pie charts. So these are absolute basics that you should go ahead and understand. Once you've done this, you are good enough to go ahead and, like GP stated, look at random allocation of sets, because most of the core concepts have been covered in the launch phase. Then you move to the build phase, which is also already live. Once again, certain new topics like grouping and selection, scheduling matrix, missing data, Venn diagrams, going deeper into games and tournaments, going deeper into arrangements, advanced pie charts, going deeper into that, line graphs, multi charts, radar charts. So all of this is already live as we speak. For each of these number of sessions associated with it. And the way the course is structured is, before every single session there is a pre-session test, post which there is the session, post which there is the post-session test. So this is how the entire course is structured. So, pre-session, it helps you understand where you are vis-a-vis this topic at this point in time, then attending the session live, learning from it, and post-session, putting into practice everything that you've gone ahead and learned. Post the build phase, the next phase which GP and I are working on, which will go live on 15 July, is the scale phase, where we go deeper, higher level questions, getting deeper into Venn diagrams, cubes, roots and network, conditional and binary logic, advanced games and tournaments, advanced missing data, scatter plot, DI using arithmetic, crypt arithmetic, Gantt chart. So more and more, rather than introducing newer topics, getting deeper into the topics that we've already done, a higher level of questions, so that you're able to go ahead and combat them in case something like that comes in CAT. And finally, the last phase when it comes to CAT, which is the dominant phase, where what we are doing is nothing new to teach, but we are mixing topics, important combinations. We are mixing 2 or 3 different concepts and creating newer sets. This will be all new sets that you can go ahead and experience, so that it will help you understand what are the different combinations that can come and how do you go ahead and learn from it. And finally, once all of that is done, this year we've also gone ahead and introduced one entire new phase, which is for the other non-CAT exams, where we are going to get into non-CAT oriented topics which generally don't come in CAT, like direction sense, coding, decoding, input, output, critical reasoning, data sufficiency, syllogisms, and stuff like that. Also, with each of these, you would have seen me mention module tests. Now, in the module tests, we are basically trying to go ahead and do something unique, which is, like GP was talking about, it is also important to identify which sets to solve. Each of the module tests are taken like tests by us. So along with GP and me, we also got Ravi, who helps us in the module tests. We take it like tests, and we try identifying the priority order in which you should solve it. We try pointing out, ये सेट नहीं सॉल्व करना चाहिए था, ये एंड में होना चाहिए था, पहले ये सेट सॉल्व करना चाहिए था, इस सेट में पहले ये 2 क्वेश्चन करने चाहिए थे, बाकी आप छोड़ सकते थे. So everything that we've been talking about till now, we're trying to put that into practice. And then finally, in the last phase, we're also having a few module tests for NMAT, SNAP, ZAT, MHCET, and CMAT, which will come as per the schedule of these exams. For example, the NMAT ones you can expect by August, September, whereas for SNAP, you can expect them by November, December, ZAT, November, December, MHCET by roughly around February, and so on and so forth. So that's basically what the structure of this entire course is. In terms of features, already spoken a lot about it. I don't want to get too deep into it, but overall, if you're looking at it from a practice perspective, we are talking about 2,500 plus questions. That's upwards of 600 sets that you have for practice, upwards of 200 sets which are a part of the sessions that GP and I are recording, which are covered in these 84 self-paced videos. Also, like I pointed out, there are going to be pre and post assessment tests. So there are over 70 such pre and post assessment tests for each of those sessions, and then module wise sectional tests as well. In addition to that, there are also 10 full length DILR sectional tests that will be a part of this. And finally, like I was talking about, the actual CAT and ZAT questions that GP has gone ahead and recorded, their solutions, and wherever possible, a Jugaad solution. In addition to that, obviously, there is going to be a Telegram group for doubt clearing, and you can also pose your doubts on the My Zone, because you added that feature like, VARC1000. So that's basically what there is in terms of the entire course. GP, anything that you would like to add before I just go to the last part?
Yeah, I think we can move to the next stage.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So if I look at it from the perspective of, what all there is in terms of, every single video, there is going to be a pre-video assessment, which generally has one set that you can go ahead and solve, which is to evaluate where you are at this point in time. That is followed by step 2, which is the actual live session, wherein you go ahead and generally look at 2 or 3 sets where you go ahead and introduce a concept. Then the third, which is the post video assessment, you take post session test to reinforce your learning. And finally, to boost everything, there are going to be module tests and sectional tests. In terms of quantum, I'm going to once again repeat, look at the quantum of sets that are going to be provided, which is why I get into this concept of hoarding nahi karni chahiye. If you look at pre-session test, post-session test, and the live session videos, and the module tests and the sectional tests, in total, we are talking about upwards of 750 sets. Do this. If you're able to do this, trust me, you will go ahead and do decently well in CAT if you're able to do justice to this. Don't sit and state, I need another 1,000 sets or I need another 200 sets. वो तो कभी भी satiate नहीं होगा, need. If you're able to do these, everything that has been provided here, in addition to that, obviously there'll be mocks that you'll be taking. If you take about 30 odd mocks, that's another 140, 150 sets. You're talking about close to 1,000 sets. Itna, if you've gone ahead and done, that should be more than enough. Don't go ahead and start looking for another 1,000 sets. In 1,000 ko utilize to the best of your ability. That's basically it in terms of what the course is. In terms of who your mentors are, GP, obviously, you know what GP brings to the table with his Jugaad solutions. I'm picking up, most of the LR sessions. GP is picking up most of the DI sessions. And then Ravi comes in when it comes to a module test to go ahead and, put everything that we've stated into practice when it talks about priority order of identification, how to choose questions over sets, and so on and so forth. So all of that and much, much more is a part of the program. Yep. So basically, like we state, the unpredictability of the exam, finding relevant study material, lack of structured practice, there are all multiple challenges that students face. Our objective is hopefully this is going to go ahead and, give you one-stop solution to go ahead and handle all the challenges that are put forth in front of you. In case you're interested in the DILR 1000 course, you can go ahead and scan this code, or you can go ahead and call that number that is provided below, and you can get in touch with our agents. Emerald, the pre and post session test, whether it is at CAT level or not, is very relative, because and GP is also laughing there, because at this point in time all that you've seen is the first two phases wherein you are introducing newer topics. As you go deeper,
and India मेरे को उसमें problem ये है, if the student goes through all the CAT data sets, he realizes every year there's one or two sets which is so stupid and so simple that half the time you can solve it while reading the data set itself. And I think I want to just spend a minute on this issue. There's nothing called CAT level. What is CAT level is easy, CAT level is medium, CAT level is difficult, CAT level is very difficult, CAT level is very easy. Now every paper will have easy, medium, difficult, one odd easy, one odd difficult, and 1 to 2 medium. If I just look at easy, medium, difficult. So when you say CAT level, you're saying CAT level क्या है, पहले वो clear हो जाना चाहिए. Do CAT 17 to 24 data sets. Every year, I'm again repeating, there'll be 1 to 17, 18, 19. These are 24 into 2, 48 sets. Each 8 sets of each slot, you'll find 1 to 2 sets were so simple calculation would have given the answer. So don't tell me कि ये बहुत easy है तो CAT में नहीं आ सकता. नहीं. What is important is वो easy set CAT में किया कि नहीं किया. People always worry about the difficult sets. कि difficult set करके करना है बिल्कुल, मगर difficult set paper में नहीं करना मुझे. In a paper, you should be able to identify and solve the easy sets. If you are going to do the difficult sets, you'll end up wasting time. So there is no specific CAT level data. CAT level as such is all I would want to say.
Perfect. Lovely. Thanks a lot for that. GP, any last words, anything that you want to go ahead and add?
नहीं यार बस काम करो, and I hope you have scanned this one and you have scanned the QR code for OpenCAD. जुगाड़ solution दिख जाएंगे, काम करने लगो.
Perfect. Sounds good. That's it from our end, guys. Let's go ahead and all the very best to all of you all. I hope you all are writing mocks. We had a pro mock last week as well. There's a flexi mock going on as we speak over this weekend, one which goes live, and then there's another pro mock coming next week. So I hope you all are not missing out on the pro mocks. Please ensure that you're going ahead and writing sufficient number of mocks. जितना भी हम बोल ले, कोई भी courses हम कर ले, eventually at the end of the day, it's about putting things in practice and going ahead and doing that. And if you attended the Embark session a few days back, you would have heard 2 or 3 students talk about DILR 1000, VARC 1000. The many of these sessions were similar last year as well. Many of these sets were there last year as well, jahan unko bhi easy laga hoga, but eventually in CAT they went ahead and scored. Why? Because they practiced sufficiently. They put into practice all that was covered in these sessions and in different courses. They put it into practice when they went ahead and looked at mocks. So please go ahead and focus on that for sure. Yeah, GP.
But I think that's it. And yes, Emma, I'll start the Jugaad solution. Don't worry. Yeah. Flexi last time we had done, why it has been stopped. It has not been stopped. I'll be doing them. I normally do it only for the CDCs, but I'll try to do a few flexi also. The first flexi I had done only so that I can get you to start thinking in an alternate way. That was all.
Yeah, I think that's the confusion. GP, वही confusion है. Few of the students are thinking कि last year flexi के लिए भी हुआ था. It wasn't done for flexi. It was only done.
One what I would have done as such, but I primarily do it for CDCs, the CDC pros, not for the flexi. I have done for one flexi this year. I'll do for the open CDC pro or open CDC जो था उसका भी करूँगा मैं. But I'll be able to do it only during the weekend.
Perfect. Okay, GP, one last question. I think अनमोल वाला उठा लेते हैं because ये एक another question है जो regularly आता है. मॉक के बाद सॉल्व कर पाता हूँ, मॉक के टाइम नहीं सॉल्व कर पाता.
क्योंकि मॉक में मेरे को टेंशन ज्यादा होती है ना. See, when I'm taking a mock, I'm under pressure. I'm trying to attempt large number of questions. Secondly, Anmol, I don't know whether it is true for you also or not, but for many students, when they start taking the paper, they're in a rush. They're in a rush to solve the questions. They don't read the data carefully, and hence they tend to miss out on critical inputs, which creates a problem. Similarly, they don't. Many students don't go through the entire paper to identify which are the sets which they should or should not be attempting. So my suggestion would be, rather than being focused on solving questions, please focus first on identifying the right sets to attempt. And once you have decided, I am going to attempt this data set, you don't try to save a minute, minute and a half or 2 minutes by reading it faster, trying to solve faster, because that will only induce errors. So give it that extra 2 minutes if it deserves. It is better to get a 95 percentile than an 85 percentile. If you move very fast, instead of 99, you'll get down to 80-85 percentile. If you move slowly, the worst thing that will happen to you is you'll possibly end up with the 94-95 percentile. So it is better to slow down or to take extra minute to read the set, understand it before you jumping onto the questions.
Yeah. One last thing, one thing that I'd like to add to that, GP, is also hota kya hai, when we are practicing now, we generally practice when mind is fresh. We generally practice when we are chill. Whereas in the mock, what happens is DILR comes after you've done 40 minutes of VARC. So वो भी एक चीज होती है that sometimes your mind is already a little occupied and convoluted with a couple of things that are going on in your head. So do keep that in mind. Practice, and this is something that GP had pointed out earlier as well, that practice kai bar. You can do it in slots where you do back to back as well. DILR, sometimes I'm practicing after I have done VARC, immediately back to back, so that it helps you build up that stamina. Problem क्या होता है, कई बार वो stamina enough नहीं build हुआ होता कि when mind is already preoccupied and mind is not working at its optimal, उसमें जाके 4-5 सेट देखना है और उसमें identify करना है पहले कौन सा करना है, and उसके अंदर भी identify करना है कौन से questions पहले करने हैं, and so on and so forth. So these intangibles are also certain things that I would recommend that you keep in mind. Yeah. I'm already knowing night classes.
CDC Pro कितने हुए अभी? How many CDC pros have happened?
One Pro.
हाँ तो ये यार गलत बोल रहे हो ना तुम. यार booster analysis के लिए तुम्हारे 4-5 CDC pros हो जाने चाहिए ना. One paper will not give you the booster analysis, so it will get updated for you when once you have taken 3 or 4 papers.
Yeah, flexis have happened. Okay. I think there have been about 6-7.
Yeah, flexis have happened.
There's a question. What flexi have you done this year? Have you the launchpad mock? Did you do, GP? The first one?
एक किया था, मुझे याद नहीं कौन सा. I have done it for one.
I think it's the launchpad mock, Emerald. That's the only flexi that is done. Generally, flexis are not picked up for Jugaad solutions. It's only the pros. Shubhayu is saying, I'm already enrolled in NC. Is DILR concept class still required, or can? nowhere have we gone ahead and stated it's a must or it's required. Please take a call basis your preparation. Please take a call basis your need. If you already feel my basics of DLR are fine, I'm okay with respect to choosing, मेरे को समझ आ रहा है, I'm already at that 85-90 percentile, more often than not मैं 2 set कर लेता हूँ, third में घुस पा रहा हूँ. If you're already there, this might not be something that you need. Absolutely not. But if you feel you need certain additional structured help, then look at it. That's it. Forcefully ekdam bhi nahi. Okay, I think that's about it, more or less, GP. Thanks a lot, guys. That's it. Good evening. We'll catch you all soon. And those of you who've attended this session, after enrolling in DILR1000, the next phase is expected around 15th of July. And, between GP and me, we are working very hard to ensure that the post-session test videos also go live by this week and the remaining by the mid of next week. Okay. One question I think Shivam has put in. I bought DILR1000, just started build phase. What should be my plan of action? Till when I should complete this course? Along with the course would be my strategy. GP, your take, then I'll come in.
I just follow the schedule which is there for this program. So usko leke hi chalte jana hai. And if you think that you have more time at hand, then start looking at the old CAT papers is what I would suggest. So what should be a plan of action? By and large, the plan of action has to be what we have discussed only.
Just one thing, build phase, if you already started, focus to complete the build phase by say the 10th of July or so. 15th tak aapka next phase aa jayega, which is the scale phase, where we are going to introduce a couple of new topics like cubes and stuff like that, and some of the older topics we're going to get deeper, like Venn diagram already pehle kiya hua hai, advanced level karenge, maxima minima wala concept leyenge and stuff like that. So go through it like that. I think close to, if I am not wrong, roughly around the first or the second week of August, everything related to CAT would have released. And by the end of the scale phase, you would say about 80% of everything is already released. So scale phase, jab 15th of July ke aspas aayega, if you already done the build by then within the next 5, 7, 10 days scale you would be able to do. So by the end of July, I would say by the time the CAT notification comes, you should feel confident enough ki maine sab kuch kar liya hai. Can I go ahead and go a little deeper into it? So please take up scheduling sets. I think we've done grouping and scheduling already a little bit.
कुछ मैंने भी किए हैं. I don't know what release हुए कि नहीं, but I think I've done a couple of scheduling sets also.
Yeah, we've done. Shenzhen वाला तो बहुत सिंपल था, उसमें तो एक जुगाड़ सोल्यूशन था.
Shenzhen वीजा तो लिया है अभी मैंने ना.
Yeah. I think आपने अपने जुगाड़ सोल्यूशन में शायद लिया है, जुगाड़ सेशंस में.
So Emerald किया है मैंने, अपनी रिकॉर्डिंग किया उसकी.
Yeah, that you will find anyways as a part of the course under the previous year questions. And when it comes to scheduling higher level sets, they'll be picked up in the upcoming phases. The objective of the first couple of phases is to introduce the topics. जब तक introduce नहीं होगा, basics नहीं पता चलेंगे, high level पे जाना आपके लिए थोड़ा difficult हो जाएगा. So the objective is to cater to everybody. I'm guessing, Emerald, you're somebody who's probably written CAT before, so your basics are already there. So you are expecting बहुत जल्दी बहुत आ जाएगा. But
और इसलिए शेंजन वीजा की भी बात कर रहे हैं.
Exactly.
So शेंजन वीजा सेट की बात हो रही है.
Correct. So I'm understanding where he's coming from, but the whole point is you have to cater to everybody. अगर एक साथ ही हम इतने high level पे directly पहुंच जाएंगे, then some of the others who are writing it for the first time, prepping for the first time, basics are not in place, they will feel out of whack and not in place. So you have to cater to everybody, and that's why the course is structured in a phase-wise manner. Okay, I hope that helps you understand that. So we've tried to answer all the questions that were there. Nice catching up, guys. Some of you all might have sessions at 9:30. Sorry for intruding on that. Go ahead, go to the sessions, and we'll catch up again soon.
Chalo. Good night. All the best.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Good night. Bye, Emerald.